In this video, I want to show you how you can send email from your shell and thus automate email sending pretty easily with some simple shell scripting. Alright, so the actual program we are going to use to interact with the mail server is called msmtp. And if I pull up the script I have here, send mail.sh, we can see that the script is super simple. We call msmtp. I always have it's super simple. I mean, it's SMTP with an M in front of it, but it's kind of, I don't know, in my brain it's kind of difficult to speak about this program because the name is kind of, I don't know, awkward. Okay, whatever. And then we specify the T flag, and I think that's for to read the sender of the email from the email itself, and then we just pipe a file that specifies it as an argument into it. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening implicitly here, and that is because msmtp uses a configuration file, and I have copied mine here. It's .msmtp.rc, and this should be located in your home directory, and I mean it is also msmtp.rc or msmtp.rc rather. And I've copied this from the Arch Linux wiki some time ago, and added my own email account. So there are two email accounts right here. So this is the first one. So we simply specify the account, then we specify the mail server port, like TLS or start TLS. The from, I think that's what's displayed in on mail clients when they receive mail from you, I think. And then the username and the password. And we can specify here either a plain text password, or we can specify password eval, so a command that msmtp will run and from which it will read the password. So in this case I use pass, my password manager. I've made a video about pass, so it's great, and I use it here too. And yeah, the second email account is the same, and then we can specify a default account also. Alright, so that's msmtp. So again, pretty straightforward. And yeah, that's for actually sending the email. But of course you need an email, you need a file to pipe in. And that's and I manage that with another shell script. And that's this org2email.sh, which we will look at next. So org2email.sh, and this is for sending HTML email, because I mean most people nowadays expect HTML email, and if they see a plain text email which is often displayed in a monospace font, it kind of has a weird vibe. But I think for for people like us, I mean plain text is fine. It's even preferred, I guess. I mean, if I receive a plain text email, I like that more than that HTML email. Okay, but whatever. So if you want to use plain text email, we would just have to change the content type in the header, because right here we specify the email headers. So we specify a from, and that's your actual from that gets displayed. So if you only specify the email, only the email gets displayed, but you can add a actual plain text name. I have this BCC, so I send a blind copy to myself. I don't know why I do that here, to be honest. I wrote the script some time ago, but I mean, you can probably remove that. Then we specify MIME version. This is all just kind of boilerplate. This is, I don't know why this is necessary, but I think it is. And then the actual content type. So again, we want to send HTML email, and if we want to send plain text email, we just have to change this to text plain, and then we have to skip all the org to HTML conversion that comes later, and UTF-8 of course, and content language. We can change this to ENUS and not use German language. All right, and this all gets saved to a header file. So the first argument to the script should be a file which I'll look at in a second. And we just add .header to the input file we get. And we put all this into that. And then we put some more stuff into it because, again, so this first argument is going to be a file that looks like this. So up here we have the headers and then a empty line and then the actual like message, the actual content we want to send. Yeah, and this set command, this one right here, what it does is it looks for the first empty line and then quits. So, and I have an example, let me show this. So if we look at set test, we have all this content right here, all these contents, and if we pipe that into this set command, no, it's like this. So this just means empty line. So this symbol is for like the beginning of the line, and this $ is for the end of the line, and there's nothing in between them. So this means, okay, match the empty line, and then we specify Q for quit. So quit after you have read an empty line. This is what this command says. And if we do that, we get all the lines, including the empty line, and then it quits. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to solve this. All right, back to the script. So we rewrite all these header files, header lines rather. If we go back, so these two lines also get added to this .header file, or whatever .header rather. And what we do next is, yeah, we specify this, and this is kind of ugly, I guess, but and I don't think export is needed here, but whatever. We save the amount of header lines, so in this case 2, in this NNN variable. Again, this is just some junk name, I don't know. Whatever. And we will use this later to extract all the rest of the file. So this tail -n command, and then this plus, and then an integer. What it does, it skips the first n lines and only outputs everything after that, if that makes sense. All right, because next we want to get the actual content, and for that we first add this options line. So this is an org option to treat new line or to respect new lines, because by default, if you write something like this, it will not respect this new line, but it will rather treat this as like one line pretty much. And that's so you can have for example, in Emacs you can have auto wrap mode, so it automatically wraps the line after a certain amount of characters, for example 70 characters, and it automatically wraps that. But yeah, I mean, you don't really have to have that, but I like it. And after that we get the actual content from our example. For example, in this example, this would be all this, and if we had more to say, then that gets added to this .org file. And then we can also have, and I mean, this is just simple shell script, so you can do whatever you want. So we can have a simple footer or a complex footer or whatever. And this is also just org mode. So we use the begin and end export with an HTML export, because we want to next convert this org file to an HTML file, because we want to send HTML mail and not org mail. So we call pandoc, of course, because pandoc does exactly that. And I mean, you can probably, I mean, you can like shell script it with like Emacs, but yeah, that's pretty ugly, and also that doesn't work on servers that well, I found. I mean, I've done it, and I mean, it's fine, but pandoc is just a better tool for the job. So we convert this org file to an HTML file, and then after that we just concatenate the header and HTML, and we get the final email, which I save in this .email file. All right, that was a lot of stuff. I hope I haven't changed anything important here. No, probably not. So let's look at this in action, because I mean, yeah, that's just too much theory. All right, so let's make this, let's make a test directory. Let's copy our example file to this test directory, and let's call the org2 email shell script with this example email. And it takes a while. And after that, if we look at the test directory again, we see all these files. So this was our initial example. This is the final email. This is the header, and this is the org file, and this is the HTML file. I mean, it's all pretty self-explanatory. If we look at that and we look at the header file, for example, we can see all these predefined headers and also these two headers which we have defined in the email file. And I mean, org file is the same, and HTML file is org file just as HTML. And we can also see that, for example, this break line or this break HTML tag gets inserted here because of the options header at the top in the org file. Yeah. And the email file is just all that concatenated. All right. Great. And now we can actually send this stuff. So, well, no, let me, which email did we specify? Yeah, okay. So this is just a test email. So if we now send this, test01 and example.email.email, this pass prompt gets pulled up, or not really pass prompt, but GPG prompt, where I need to enter my GPG password so pass can extract the email. So I'll do that and cut right back. Alright, so I've entered my password and everything went fine and the email has been sent. Alright, let me think. Let me pull up a terminal and mbsync. So I use Emacs and mbsync and, or isync I think it's called, and not much to manage my emails, but I think that's stuff for another or a dedicated video rather. But let me just fetch the email. And if we, where was it? I think here. If we refresh that, we can see there is a new email with exactly the contents we specified. So it's from this email here, and notice the name gets displayed next to the email, as we specified. The subject is this, the date automatically gets inserted, and then there is the content. So, and the nice thing about Emacs is it actually like displays, or rather not much, it tries to display HTML content as close as it can, so we can see the bold stuff is actually bold. Italic, it tries to do italic, italic I guess. But the link also works, so pretty good, I think. And if you open this in like Thunderbird, you get to see like actual HTML, of course. So yeah. And okay, so this is like sending email to like one person. But what we want to do in the case of a newsletter, we want to send email to like a bunch of people. And if you've seen my last video, you know this newsletter directory and the subs directory. And if we look at the subs directory, we see like different files with UUIDs. And if we cat them together, we can see like email addresses. And I mean, so far this is all pretty simple. And I mean, it is simple because it's all just shell scripting and files. And what we can of course do now is like automate this process of sending email to multiple people by simply using simple shell scripting. So let's actually do that right now. So we can leave the email body as is, but what we could, for example, do is change this to header, or this to header file, header line rather, to, for example, placeholder or whatever, and we will replace this with sed in the script. So let's do that, and let's newsletter.sh we could call it, and this is a shell script. And we could, for example, do this subs. So we want to concatenate all of it. We want to do a while read line. And I mean, this is probably not like super pipe shell scripty, but I like to do this with like a read line. So while read line, and what we want to do is we want to set. We could probably like do it like this. So we want to substitute placeholder for line. Yeah, we don't need G, I guess. And we want to do this in like the input file. And then we could either store it in like some file. For example, like this or something, or maybe like this. So this would work, and then we could send it in another step, or we can just pipe it into msmtp t. Yeah, so that would work as well. I'm gonna do it like this, I think, because I don't see any value in like having a bunch of copies with just the email change. Alright, and then we maybe want to echo some, I don't know, status thing. So send to whatever. Alright, and then we call done. Yeah, I think that's it. So this should maybe hopefully work. Switch to each shell, chmod plus x this newsletter thing, and if we now call it with no, let's do a test02, copy our example email again, and yeah, convert it, of course. So org to email test02 example.email, and I mean you can have like more meaningful names for these, of course. And if we now look at test02 in the final email, there should be this placeholder thing. And if we now call newsletter with this one right here, that email, this should probably, hopefully, maybe work. Do, yeah. While read line do, of course. This is why it's syntax highlight this as red. I was confused by that, to be honest. Let's call it again. And it took a second, because of course if you're sending mail, you're connecting to the mail server, you're doing a bunch of stuff, you're transferring data. So that's looking good. And if we now sync our mail again, we have 2 new messages, which should be exactly our newsletter. Yeah, so it's 2 times here because I send it to 2 email addresses, which I have right here. So which I have configured my Emacs. So the first one is to this kin address, and the second one should be to this nick plus test address. So yeah, as you can see, it works perfectly fine. Yeah, and as you can see, the date is also correct. So this is at second 28, this is at second 29, yeah, whatever. I mean, that doesn't matter, I guess. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think I showed you pretty much all I do with like email. Oh no, that's wrong. Sorry. I want to also show you something very cool, but which is maybe not relevant to a newsletter, and that is in this send without. So in this file, I have like 2 things I want to show you. So first up is, let me do this. Hello. So first up is I want to show you how you can use msmtp without a config, because I found, especially if you're using this on a server, it's oftentimes much more practical to use it without a config. So you can specify all these flags, all these options rather, you can specify in the config, also on the command line as flags. So we want auth, okay, we want TLS, okay, we don't want start TLS, so we turn it off. We specify the host, the port, the user, we specify how to get the password. So for example, on a server you could have like a .config.password file or whatever, or and you can store your password in there, so it's not in the shell script, so it's not in your Git repository. We want to read the envelope or the from rather, and the recipients from the email we pipe into this command. All right, so that's one thing. And the second one is, so we do that. It's a bit messy right now. Let me, can I do this? Oh no, SH mode. Yeah, okay, that's better. So that's one thing, how to use msmtp without a config. And the other thing is, what I wanted to show you is how to attach files. So how to have attachments. And that is with this UU enview program. And there's a UU encode, I think, and that's like a even a base utility, I think. But UU enview is a program which is much nicer, especially for emails, because it, for example, what it does, it automatically adjusts the MIME type. So normally you have like text/HTML, but to have like attachments, you need like some multi-part MIME type, and it automatically does that for you. So in this example, I have an email in this in a directory I specify as an argument. I have an email I want to send. I pipe it into this UU enview program with -a-bo. I mean, I don't remember off the top of my head what these flags are for, but I mean, you can look it up if you're interested. And then I want to attach all the PDF files in this directory, which I specify as an argument. And yeah, all the or I mean, you can use whatever you want, like not only PDFs, but whatever, like arbitrary files. And then I pipe all of this into msmtp. So UU enview reads the email, attaches, oh yeah, this is what this A flag is for, attaches all these files. Oh yeah, and no, I do remember all the flags. B is for base64 and O is for, I think, standard output. So it reads the email, attaches all these files to this email, adjusts the MIME type and whatever, or the content type rather, and then it outputs it to standard output, and that gets piped into msmtp and then sent. So pretty simple and straightforward and really powerful, I think. Oh yeah, and if you're trying to install UU enview on Alpine, I couldn't find a package for it. I don't know, I could find UU encode, but that doesn't have these nice options which make it really comfortable to attach multiple files to an email and whatnot. So I just cloned the Git repository and compiled it myself. It's written in C, so yeah, it's easy to compile. And if you have compiled like something like DWM or ST, you probably have all the build requirements to compile it yourself. So I just did that, autoreconf I configure make, and then I copied the binaries to my .local bin. I mean, you can call make install if you want to. I mean, yeah. All right. So that's how to attach files or attach attachments to emails from the command line. Also, really, really nice, and yeah, you can automate a lot of stuff with that. All right. But now I think that's it. I think I have nothing else to show you in this video. So again, that's my kind of hack together newsletter software. So this was the second part. The first part is actually assembling the email list and hooking it up to a website, which, yeah, again, I showed you in the other video. And yeah, that's it. I hope this was useful somehow. And yeah, have a nice day.